Alrighty, we are now live, and I'm here with Havi.
What up?
Welcome to Chronicles of the Cloudsea, Character Creation Session 3. This is the Horns region of Chronicles of the Cloudsea. The Mantle and Constructs. Constructs aren't normally part of the Mantle, but Havi is. You can really make a construct anywhere, so... The Mantle Core. The lowest level of the Horns is the subterranean realm of dualistic extremes known as the Mantle. At the center of the Mantle is the Mantle Core, a mysterious sphere of magma which ripples, shivers, and undulates, coming apart and reforming as a molten sphere of varying sizes and densities, always changing form unpredictably. It is the center of Swerfneblin, or Deep Gnome culture and mysticism. No one knows particularly what the purpose of the core is, but most have drawn the conclusion that it is an important creation of divine origin. The Mantle Core also draws in a protector caste, watchers from the Always Dark who have been pulled away from their calling of protecting the Cloudsea from a vague evil, which for all intents and purposes has never been seen or experienced. The Watchers of the Core, though not particularly numerous, plan rotating shifts patrolling the chamber around the core. The Deep Gnomes pay tribute to the Mantle Core, simply visiting and basking in its majesty for a short while. Central to their coming of age, young Swerfneblin adults whisper a name in stone in the presence of the Mantle Core. It's believed that the closer one gets to the Mantle Core while whispering their secret name, the more social stature they will have later in life. Some younger generations have taken to calling the ritual a whisper in basalt to differentiate from the rock gnome tradition of establishing a name in stone. Then we have the area around the Mantle Core, which is called the Steam Tubes. Surrounding the Mantle Core are a network of large tunnels with either magma, running water, or steam being transported in no particular pattern throughout the complex web. Swerfneblin are commonly needed to traverse the tubes, but those who have done it enough will get a sense of the shifting and hard to identify patterns of change between which resources moving through the depths of the Horns, and when. Deep Gnomes harvest the various resources for their own machinations, as well as divert the flows in spots for their own utility. As such, there are many outposts of a gnomish make throughout the tubes. Then there's the Mantle Ward, the largest city on the Cloudsea. Mantle Ward is the Deep Gnome settlement below the Mantle Core. It is built of impressive stone structures with numerous high vaulted ceilings, arches, domes, or otherwise massive works that don't really get associated with gnomes very often. In devoted fashion, the Swerfneblin attribute their successful society beneath the Horns to the Mantle Core's blessings. Being a large city of impressive stature, the other denizens of the Horns, as well as some of the settlers from elsewhere in the Cloudsea, have set up satellite wards of stone and jerkwood encampments. It would certainly not be unusual to come across drow, duergar, or a yuan-ti, goblinoid, or orc, with even the rarer Aarakocra or Cloudforged making their way into the wards. So that's the intro to the Mantle. Now we will kind of jump into homebrewing your background a little bit. So you were created in the Mantle Core, the Mantle Ward actually. So just to reiterate, the Mantle is the lowest layer beneath the Horns, which are two mountains shaped like horns in the eastern part of the Cloudsea, which is in perpetual darkness. There's a low-lying moon, which is seen as the wolf from the deity cult of the Cloudsea, and circling the moon is almost like a star, but it circles around like how a hawk would circle prey, right? From the perspective of where the Horns are, the circling light is always shrouded. So you can draw the conclusion it's pretty close to the moon, actually. And people call them the wolf and the hawk. But they also refer to their deities that way. But anyways, you were created by a deep gnome of Mantle Ward. He never told you his name. He just created you and introduced himself as your master. He actually taught you a few languages as well. Common, Deep Gnome, Gnomish, and one language that he didn't say the name of, but you know that language as well. And you learned all of this in your first year of life. So So basically, he gave you a good education. He also asked you to never leave the housing area that you're in. So basically, to describe this area, it's basically a workshop, a very modest workshop. Like, you don't see any signs of other constructs, but there are a lot of little things that he fidgets with. You see a lot of stone work as well, like stone tablets seem to be a recurring theme around the workshop. And it's a small space. Not leaving the space, you do feel somewhat restless. And there's also an upstairs, which is a small space. And the windows are boarded up, but there is a peephole that looks out to the streets where you see the vague shapes of other deep gnomes. You know, they're quite small, so they're kind of difficult for you to really get a sense for what they look like. You just know they're the same race as the master. You also have a food source, which is stone, which he keeps piled in the corner. You basically eat one fist-sized stone a day, and that keeps you going. Otherwise, you don't need to sleep or use the bathroom. You're a construct. You're a Cloudforged. For rest, all you have to do is kind of meditate passively for 4 hours a day in a still state. But you can, if something happened, you can get out of that state instantly. It's not like you're going to be disassociated from where you are. The master had a pretty vague existence. He leaves once a day. Actually, for most of the day, he's gone. And then he comes back. Not really any explanation of where he went. But one day, he leaves and he never comes back. So remembering his command to never leave, you know, you do get very lonely. You were hoping he would come back, but as time passes on and the rock pile gets smaller and smaller, you find that he didn't return. And in fact, the rock pile eventually dwindles away. And luckily, you do have a clock. There's a wind-up clock, so you can keep track of the days. After approximately 2 years of no master, your seclusion has kind of gotten to you, but also the rock pile has dwindled away to nothingness. So you finally make the decision to leave. And immediately on leaving, you are amazed at all the creatures who are seemingly amazed at you as well, but they look like the master. You stumble around the city, which you learn is called Mantle. Everybody giving you wary looks, but eventually you stumble your way into the halls that lead to the Mantle Core. When you lay eyes on the Mantle Core, you immediately feel a sense of calling. And, you know, you're approached by a somewhat ragtag group, and they are kind of hostile, but upon talking back and forth, they learn that you are just an innocent construct who doesn't really have much understanding of the world. But you tell them that you feel a calling from the Mantle Core, but you don't quite understand it. And they actually express excitement about that, explaining that they too felt the calling. And as such, they are 3 of the Watchers of the Mantle, the Watchers of the Core, and you end up joining their group. And that is where we will go into character creation. Actually, first of all, do you like that?
Like, this is honestly getting me like more and more excited.
Okay, cool. So basically, we know these as a human, a Yuan-Ti pureblood, and a drow, which the Yuan-Ti purebloods and drow are kind of part of the upper society of the Horns who live in the mountains. Humans, as we learned yesterday, are from Windswept Isle, so it's rather strange to see a human around these parts, but it's not unheard of. Okay, so we're going to start with race, which I pretty much homebrewed the whole thing. I think you're going to like it, though. So we're going to put Cloudforged in as race, which basically it's Warforged, but the Cloudsea doesn't know war. So
Right. Yeah.
you know, they're not completely naive, but they do know evil exists, but it doesn't exist for all intents and purposes in the Cloudsea.
Right.
You have an interesting appearance, so that is unfortunately going to detract on your charisma by -2, and then you will take a +2 in Constitution and a +1 in any skill of your choice.
I'll do the +1 in charisma.
Okay, cool. So that'll offset that a little bit. What alignment did you want to go with?
Ooh. I feel like for now it'd be like a good choice of being neutral.
Neutral good or neutral?
I would say
Now keep in mind you're also going Paladin, so
yeah.
it would kind of be normal to choose good, but I would say it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, I'd say like a neutral good.
Okay, cool. Creature type, we're going to put humanoid, but in brackets, construct. Size, medium, speed. This is pretty cool because you're also going to be getting a flying speed, but your base speed is 30, and your flying speed is 60 feet, which is pretty sweet. So the flying, how that works, basically you have an attuned magical item, which is adapted for Warforged. It does use one attunement slot, which isn't too bad because you still have 2 more. So it's the Wings of Flying. Basically, it's permanently attached to you. You can't take it off. If you clipped your wings, you'd still not have the attunement slot. It just, in this world, it doesn't make sense to have a construct without wings because the islands are not connected by water. There is water around the islands, but it only goes out like 100 meters to half a kilometer, or like a third of a mile for Imperial. So the wings give you a flying speed of 60 feet. You can use them for an hour. I think I did give you an option to keep using them, but you have to roll like a Constitution save or something. Part of the reason why you have to eat stone to survive. You have to refuel the wings. But you know, it actually doesn't take you that much to eat to fulfill that hunger. A single fist-sized stone per day, which is not too bad. Then proficiencies, I said you get common and gnomish, but you're also getting an currently unknown language, so we'll leave that blank. Nobody you've ever spoken to showing them that language recognizes it. Immunities, you don't need to eat, drink, or breathe. So if you ever have to go underwater, that's going to be useful, or in space.
True.
You're immune to disease, and magic can't put you to sleep. And, you know, on top of getting common and gnomish, you also can take a language from one of the watchers who you met, a bonus language. So you have a drow and a yuan-ti.
I would say yuan-ti language.
Okay, cool. Then we'll also say that character you have more of a connection with than the others. Just because I think that would make sense if you have a reason to learn his language specifically. Oh, sorry. Earlier I said you need to spend 4 hours in stasis. It's actually 6 hours.
Okay.
But still, you're completely aware, and you can pop out of it if there's danger. In fact, you would still have regular passive perception. It's pretty sweet, to be honest. Then,
nice.
Then integrated protection. Your body has built-in defensive layers, which can enhance with armor. You gain a +1 bonus to armor class.
Ooh.
But you can only don armor with which you have proficiency. To don armor, you must incorporate it into your body over the course of 1 hour, during which you must remain in contact with the armor. To doff armor, you must spend an hour removing it. We'll go over your armor choice later, but the +1 is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Then you have a specialized design. You gain 1 skill proficiency of your choice and 1 tool proficiency of your choice.
Ooh.
So I can read out the choices for skills if you'd like. And if you get the skills later on, we'll just let you choose another one. So there's acrobatics, animal handling, arcana, athletics, deception, history, insight, intimidation, investigation, medicine, nature, perception, performance, persuasion, religion, sleight of hand, stealth, and survival.
I feel like granted where my character lives currently, I would have to say like religion would make the most sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be helpful.
Right.
Then you got one tool proficiency. So there's quite a few. You can have alchemist supplies, bagpipes, brewer's supplies, calligrapher supplies, carpenter's tools, cartographer's tools, cobbler's tools, cook's utensils, dice set, disguise kit, dragon chest set, drum, dulcimer, flute, forgery kit, glass blower's tools, herbalism kit, horn, jeweler's tools, land vehicles, leatherworker's tools, lute, leer, mason's tools, navigator's tools, painter's supplies, pan flute, playing card set, poisoner's kit, potter's tools, sham, which I think that's an instrument, but I'm not 100% sure. Smith's tools, thieves' tools, 3 dragon anti-set, which I don't know what that is.
I have no idea either.
I mean, if you want, we can Google it. Tinker's tools, viol, water vehicles, which I don't think really makes much sense.
Yeah.
Weaver's tools or woodcarver's tools. Actually, you know what? Water vehicle would make sense because there is running water in the steam tubes.
Oh, okay.
But pretty much any of these would make sense.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm damn.
There's a lot.
I'm caught between like mason tools and then like forge.
I feel like masonry tools would make more sense for your build because you're going to be mostly composed of stone being made by a deep gnome. Like, well, we can touch on your creation a little bit more. So typically Warforged are a combination of stone, metal, and wood, but we're going to say you're very heavy on the stone side of the spectrum.
Right.
But if there is any metal, it's most likely worked in as armor, joints, or things like that. And the joints are underneath the skin, so you can't really see them.
Yeah, I guess I'll go with the masonry tools.
Okay, cool. Let me see. The forge thing would be, I feel like it would be more helpful if you could work on yourself, but you can't really. You need help to add any integrations. Yeah, and then you don't get anything else right off the bat. Most of that other stuff you get will be from your class, which is Paladin. So you get simple weapons, martial weapons, and for armor proficiencies, light armor, medium armor, heavy armor, shields. So anyway, then you get 2 more skill proficiencies, which is a choice. You already took religion, so you have athletics, insight, intimidation, medicine, and persuasion as choices.
I'd say like maybe athletics.
Athletics would be very helpful. I don't think anybody's taken athletics yet also.
Yeah.
So if you, I mean, as a paladin, you're pretty much going to be a tank. So athletics could be definitely helpful in that sense.
And then I guess like kind of trying to think of one that would like fit being with the, what were the other ones?
Insight, intimidation, medicine, persuasion.
I'd say intimidation.
Awesome. Honestly, I think
that's just a natural thing.
I think for your character's appearance, that makes a lot of sense too.
Like I think like we were talking about this, like just making like an inherent thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, so we're gonna do ability rolls next. You can type /roll 4d6.
Okay.
And you're gonna throw away the lowest number.
4d6. Okay, that's not terrible.
Sweet. 11. So you're gonna do that 6 more times and throw away the lowest one. Another 11.
Oh, damn.
Nice. 15.
Okay.
10. Ooh. So that's also a 15. I see a number that big and I get excited.
Same here. Okay, so I guess this is the last one. Last one.
2 more.
2 more?
Yeah, you get 7 and you throw away the lowest.
Oh.
just to be a little
Oh
kind.
my god.
There's the
Oh
bad
my-
one.
All right, getting these out of the way. Oh my god.
And 11. So you can throw away the 8. I mean, all above average rolls, so pretty good.
Yeah.
So you get 3 11s, 2 15s, and a 10.
Okay.
So do you already have an idea where you want to put them, or do you want me to kind
I
of
feel like
go over it with you?
Definitely like one of the highest ones would be in charisma.
Suggested
Sure.
abilities are strength and charisma. I feel like you're going to be tanky too, so constitution is going to be helpful.
Right.
So yeah, charisma is your spell casting ability, and strength is your damage, basically, or your melee damage.
I have an 11. I would say poet.
You have +2 in constitution and -1 in charisma, just to remind.
Yeah. And then it's like we have 3 11s
Yeah. And
and then 1 10.
110. So pretty much
Definitely.
you need to basically choose your top 2 and your lowest 1.
I would say wisdom definitely be the lowest.
Okay.
Either that or intelligence.
Let's see. What would you got for intelligence versus wisdom? I mean, wisdom. Were there any skills you were thinking of taking that would use wisdom later on?
I wonder if nature is one. Nature would probably be like the only one.
Yeah.
I can't see anything else other than nature.
So between nature and religion, basically, what would you lean more towards?
I would say nature.
Okay.
Definitely lean towards that one more.
Okay. So int is going to be 10 then?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Then let's talk about what's definitely out for your top skills.
Definitely charisma top 1.
Okay, charisma's top. So I'm guessing strength or con are what you're debating the other 15 on.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you take con, you'll be at 17 on total.
Right.
Whereas if you take strength, it'll be 15 strength. But with the +2 con, you would get 13 con. So I guess it's a matter of, do you want to min-max it, or do you want to have a more balanced character? Do you want to be more of a tank, or I mean, you're going to be a tank anyways, but
Yeah, true. True. Very true. I would say an average build is pretty good.
okay. 15 on strength then?
Yeah.
Okay, that'll average you out more. 11 on everything else. But of course, your con is going to jump up to 13, which is a +1 modifier. Your strength is going to be a +3 modifier. And your charisma will be +4. Then background. Did you look over the ones I sent you out of curiosity?
Yeah.
Did you decide on anything, or did none of them really speak out to you?
I do like I did like both of them. Like both of them are really good.
Yeah, I mean, you can always pick stuff from each of them.
Yeah.
if certain aspects you liked more.
Yeah, for sure. So I think I would definitely go with the Warforged repair thing.
Okay.
Or whatever from like the Warforged background.
So you get a Warforged repair kit. That is pretty cool. Which includes spare parts, hammer, nails, bolts, screws, etc. And did you like all the personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws for this one?
Yeah, I was kind of like caught between well, I guess they kind of share like very similar personality traits.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like definitely like the first one from the Warforged.
Okay, for personality trait. Communicating with me is difficult since I exhibit little to no facial expression. Cool. Then you get one more personality trait. 2 is kind of cute. I find myself confused when people hug.
Yeah, I was definitely thinking of that one. Because the other one, for the construct ones, I was like, oh wait, these are kind of like definitely for like later on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like 2 is definitely the next one.
You want to go with that? Cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you got to have some fun in there with all the seriousness, right?
Yeah.
It's a game.
I know. It's just like imagining I see like 2 people hug, and like I go to hug a party member, but I do it too tight.
Yeah. They have to do like a Constitution saving throw or something, or strength. Oh, that could be funny.
That would be funny.
Okay. So ideal. You're probably going to want to go with one of the ones that aligns with your alignment, or any.
Yeah.
You could do any, but I don't think it makes sense knowing that there's no battles on the Cloudsea.
I feel like a good ideal would be like always wanting to learn more, like no matter what. Not sure if that's on one of these.
It isn't, but we're totally open for home brewing. So let's phrase that as your ideal. You have a thirst for knowledge and understanding the world you find yourself in. And so far, that's just the mantle. So bond.
Leads great into, I was like, as soon as you were going to say bond, obviously, I feel like that just leads great into like number 5.
Oh, perfect. I am seeking a great truth about myself and the nature of life. That is a classic for Warforged, I feel.
Yeah, because the other ones are just way too like further down the line.
I mean, Warforged are often played childlike, like you brought up you would like to see yourself as like the Iron Giant or Shrek. So it's like these huge monstrosities basically, but they're very innocent.
Yeah.
Then for your flaw,
like this is also going to be a tough one. I think it would be really cool to like tie that into the person that created me.
Okay. So maybe something like you have a blind, what's the word I'm looking, like a blind devotion to your creator. You don't even know the name of him, but and you haven't seen him in 9 years.
Oh wow.
Well, if we're going with your age being 10.
Yeah.
Any thoughts you're having?
Yeah, because I'm looking at the construct one, and those have like a lot of ones based on the creator.
Oh, cool. Let me pull that up then.
Yeah, because I was looking at number 1, I was like, ooh, like that'd be actually pretty interesting.
Yeah, that could be very good. I mean, if you took that too, you could go with Aasimar, our evil, which would be very interesting, considering you also have, you will get, as a paladin, you will get the ability to detect evil passively, actually.
Yeah, I feel like that one's a good one.
Yeah, number 1.
Yeah.
And you want to go with Aasimar, or do you want to go something else?
Ooh.
Is that, if you go Aasimar, they're not evil, right? So it's really going to check your perspective on the world.
Yeah, I'd say that one would be like the best thing ever.
Yeah, cool. Then I'll have to roll up some Aasimar characters later. Then, so looks like you get in athletics and intimidation anyways.
Yeah.
Based on this.
I was gonna go for construct proficiency ones. For the skill ones.
Oh, for the skill ones?
Yeah.
Like, what did you have in mind?
Thinking maybe like history. Because
cool.
I'm sure like the place that I'm living in has like a lot of deep-rooted history that I would be taught by my friends.
Yeah, for sure. So that's cool. You'll have an understanding of how the horns work and the history specifically of the horns. But also, these are like pretty erudite races, so they would teach you about the Cloudsea in general. I mean, drow are long-lived too. So. Then you get another skill. So did you want to take nature? Since you were leaning towards that?
Yeah, I was mostly leaning to that.
So you can take that now then. Then tool proficiency, I think we'll have to write that one in because I don't think Warforged kit is on here. No, it isn't. So you also get one of the following: jeweler's tools, smith's tools, or tinker's tools on top of the repair kit.
Ooh, smith's tools or tinker tools? Those are like...
Yeah.
Although jeweler tools aren't too bad either.
Oh, for sure. I mean, any of them are good, really.
Yeah. Ooh, I'm gonna go with smith tools.
Okay, and while we're at it, actually, I want to just say your master is like, he's like a laborer through and through. He could build anything. Like, his workshop had little pieces of everything, basically. Like, it's really one of those situations where it's like jack of all trades. And I don't want to say master of none. He was like a jack of all trades and good at it all. Feature: valuable technology. Due to the nature of who you are seen as a valuable piece of technology. Rather than being sentient, people who see you might assume you belong to a fellow party member, or that you work for a local business in town. Some people might even attempt to steal you and sell you off to the highest bidder, or return you to your maker if possible. So that'll definitely be some cool flavor. And then we'll talk about your appearance when we get there too. We'll start with class equipment. You get chainmail and holy symbol. Do you have any idea what you want your holy symbol to be?
I was gonna go for the symbol of my master.
Okay. It will be let's say it is I'm thinking it could be some kind of tool. Okay, I have an idea.
Okay.
It is his glasses.
Ooh.
It's a memento, which he always left his glasses behind. Basically, he was a very peculiar fellow. He wore glasses, but when he was working, he would wear goggles. And instead of bringing his glasses home with him, he would bring his goggles home with him, which is very curious, but it is what it is. He never returned, so you got to keep the glasses. Then you get 2 of either a shield or any martial weapon. So, do you want to take a shield?
I was wondering, if possible, if totally possible, would it be cool if I could have like a halberd instead of a shield?
Yep, you can definitely do halberd. But you do get one other weapon or a shield as well. So you could take anything else, basically. Even if you wanted to turn a non-weapon into a weapon, like yesterday, Chris took a shovel as his weapon.
Ooh.
Or you could take a ranged weapon too, if you're thinking that.
Would it be cool to have a flail, but the end is a anvil?
Yep, we can definitely do that. Next, you get either 5 javelins or any simple weapon. People typically use javelins to throw, if you wanted a throwing weapon. But I feel like you should have something ranged since you can fly.
Yeah. I think I always pick javelin, so I'm going to pick javelin again.
Okay, cool. Then you will either get a priest's pack or an explorer pack. I mean, it's basic stuff. It's like explorer pack is like bedroll, and I think it has stuff to prepare a campfire and meals. Then priest kit, I'm not sure what that is, so let me just Google it real quick. Includes a backpack, a blanket. They all include a blanket and candles, tinderbox, that kind of stuff. An alms box, 2 blocks of incense, a censer, vestments, 2 days of rations, and a water skin. Then, to reiterate, the explorer kit will give you implements to make food. If you pick that, you would be like the party's chef.
Oh, that would be funny. I'm definitely doing that.
Okay, and we'll play that. We'll throw that into your background too. You would, for your group of watchers, you would make their dinners as well, or their lunches. Okay, so right off the bat, you're going to get 11 hit points. No spells yet. Then no feats either. Bio. Have you decided what your character's name is going to be?
I'm going to do Sije.
Then age. Did you want to go with 10? Because you can really do anything under 30. Hypothetically, you could do over 30 too, but I don't think it makes much sense for a childlike construct.
Yeah, I would say 10.
Then height. Either you can do a roll for it, or you can do pretty much anything from 5'10" to like the maximum for your character size.
I think I'll do just 5'11".
5'11". Cool. Not too menacing. Weight. Typical granite has about 3 times the density of a person, so a 5-foot man weighs about 100 pounds. The statue would be 300 pounds. So basically 3 times what a 6-foot person would weigh. So you can adapt that however you choose. You can be heavier or lighter.
I would say 250.
250?
If that's possible.
250. Yeah, we'll say some of your inner construction has lighter materials, but the outside is mostly stone. Eye color. Let me look at the picture you chose. That picture has orange eyes, if you want to go with that.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Cool. And we'll show this on stream soon, too. Orange hair. No hair, but you do have horns. And, well, I guess you kind of have, like, frayed scales, too. Like beige frayed scales. And the scales kind of come around as facial hair too. Your race is Cloudforged. Your class is Paladin. You come from a Warforged background. You got starting equipment, blah, blah, blah. Okay, all that looks good. Oh, nature was int also. It wasn't wisdom. Do you want to switch those around then?
Or wait, which one had which?
Basically, you went with wisdom because we thought nature was wisdom. But it turns out it's actually int. It's wisdom. Or sorry, that's nature. If you want to switch those around. Because you don't have any wisdom skills by the look of it. But you have 3 int skills.
Then I guess, yeah, switch.
Yeah. So character creation is done. We are going to jump into the skit I prepared. I'm only calling it that because I like Tales games and they have so many skits. So you find yourself in the Mantle core, in the chamber of the Mantle core. There is a giant ball of magma, a sphere of magma at the center, and it is very actively rippling and changing shape, or changing sizes, I should say. It's going from liquid magma to almost like a viscous solid and back again, sometimes revealing a hollow recess in the center. And with the drastic changes, it also flickers against the entire chamber. As it changes shape and densities, the light level is pulsating, basically. And you are patrolling around the outside of the chamber, or the outer edges of the chamber, with your Yuan-Ti companion, Essa. But you know it's coming close to the end of your patrol, where the relief group of watchers will be coming in, at which point you will have several days of freedom. Usually guys trade off in shifts, because it takes a good few hours to get to the Mantle core from Mantle Ward. As you're doing your patrol, Eza motions with kind of a head nudge to your other 2 companions in the distance. The drow, who you know him as Jazz, but his full name is Jazgath Abath. And the female human companion, Malia Visible. And they are in the distance about, I'll say about 200 feet away and approaching you. So they are, while you guys are patrolling the outskirts of the chamber, they were keeping ward at the front of the Mantle core. So Eza motions towards them with a head nudge.
And you said they're like 200 feet away, right?
Yeah. And they're approaching as well.
Approaching. And the Mantle core is just like right above us, just changing form.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And they're closer to it than you are. Like, I guess perspective-wise, the Mantle core's behind them about, we'll say about 500 feet. So this is a really big chamber, right?
Okay.
And the Mantle core itself is massive. Like, you can't really estimate the size because it's changing shape and size. Actually, it's not the only source of light because there are like little cracks of magma beneath the surface, like sometimes fissuring through. I don't want to say it's a volcano, but there is volcanism active there. And you are next to Essa, the Yuan-Ti companion, who, for all intents and purposes, he looks like a human.
Ooh, I cannot wait to be cooking something up tonight.
Essa chuckles. Sounds like you have a feast in mind.
Oh, yeah. Nothing but rocks.
Well, I can't say I look forward to that. And so you chuckle and laugh together as you approach your other two companions, Malia and Jazz. And Jazz, as kind of the stoic leader of the group, as drow often tend to find themselves, he looks towards you with a... we'll say he has a resting bitch face. He's kind of in a half frown, and he says, "Well met, companions."
What up?
Well, if you're finished your patrol, the relief shift should be in a couple of minutes. They'll be arriving with the Gnomish guide any moment now.
Yeah, I say we're done.
All right, let's make our way to the exit in that case. So you move towards the south end of the Mantle core, chamber rather, where there is a path leading to a set of tunnels. And you enter the tunnel and a small figure can be seen approaching you. And as you get closer, his form is revealed as a unusually pale gnome from your understanding. He has kind of a grayish tint, but he is the deep gnome who you only know as Pit Gazer.
Pit Gazer.
And he approaches the group and says without introduction, "Right, just about ready then, are you?"
Yeah.
And as he sits there kind of grumbling, or stands there kind of grumbling, the other crew who he guided in, a group of 2 drow and 2 Yuan-Ti, they kind of just nod to you and pass by, perhaps exchanging handshakes and fist bumps as they go. But you don't exchange words. You're tired, so you don't want to talk to them. And they get it because they are about to do the same. But regardless, they pass through. Pit Gazer motions for you guys to follow him down the tunnel, which this is the map. You are familiar with this area, so you can see a mental image in your mind. But basically, these are the halls that lead toward the steam tubes. You are right there. This is not the part that you need guiding through, really, because you know the halls. Pit Gazer is your guide, or one of the guides for the Watchers. He's not a Watcher himself, but he, as I mentioned earlier, the steam tubes transport water, steam, and magma. But the nature by which they do so is confusing, and only some people understand it, and he is that person. So he's actually a bit of a, I'll say he's a hireling for the Watchers. You make your way following him down this corridor. And he's grumbling and he shouts back at you all. So, anything notable happen at the old magical core?
I would assume nothing happened, right?
Yep, pretty much. Nothing ever happens. It's just the same. Like, it's quite the scene to see it, but nothing happens. It's very quiet. Well then, I suppose the folks down at the Watchers Hall wanted me to pass on these letters to you. And he hands each of you a sealed envelope. And he keeps leading you, so you're now roughly around there.
Is it my rock day?
Your rock day? What do you mean, your rock day?
Well, as how do you put it, Jazz? Made, born.
Oh, right, your birthday. Well, I suppose from my understanding, your birthday's in a day or two.
I wonder what's inside the envelope.
As you make your way down the tunnel following Pit Gazer, you open the envelope, and inside is it's a letter folded in 3 parts. And, you unfold it, and there's a message. Greetings, potential adventurer. It is with great honor that I, Carol Zillaru, the humblest of servants of the Hare, invite you to the centennial celebration of Windswept Isle. Your local ferry services will be providing complimentary trips to and from Windswept Town at the expense of the Nature and Goodness Preservation Society. It may come as no surprise to you that this centennial is a particularly special one, as no landmass of major significance has been formed from the Wolf's Dreams since Windswept Island came into being almost 100 years ago on the morrow. It has, however, come to our attention that the Wolf Dreams are particularly potent this cycle, and the Hare has been hard at work preparing a landmass the likes of which have never been seen on the Cloudsea, a new untamed wilderness of sorts. This new wilderness will be special, unspoiled land of vast resources for all sentient creatures. However, it has occurred to we at the Nature and Goodness Preservation Society that this vast land will require a new breed of adventurer to explore and tame its immeasurable expanse for the betterment of all the Cloudsea peoples. And this is where you come in. We extend our invitation to all would-be explorers to join us in Windswept Centennial celebration, where people from across the Cloudsea will eagerly await the coming into existence of the new wilderness as the wolf wakes. In clouds and dreams, Carol Dreampetal Zillaru, first seat of the Nature and Goodness Preservation Society. Addendum: adventurers with their own means of travel are asked to use the provided ferry services, as there will be no space left at Windswept Port for private vessels. Citizens with wings capable of flight are, of course, cautioned to only undertake flying a safe distance. And that is what the note reads, and as you finish reading it, you kind of hear Malia grumbling under her breath, and the sound of her crumpling up the paper and stuffing it in a pocket.
Ooh, well, this does sound like excitement.
Ezra speaks. Well, we have a couple of days off. I say we accept this invitation, to which Malia instantly complains back, Yeah, whatever. And Malia, as you know, is her home was Windswept Isle, and for whatever reason, she came to the Horns and joined the Watchers of the Core.
But never mentioned at all, like, for what reason, right?
Yeah, she's pretty secretive. You guys pair up in your different groups for a reason. Like, you are kind of more taken with Ezza, where Jazz is almost like a mentor to Malia, I'll say. But Malia is quite young as well. Like, you've all served together for 7 years now, but she joined actually very shortly before you joined. So even though you're at 7 years of basically patrolling, you're pretty much playing guard to this construct that you don't really understand. Nobody really understands. You just sense it needs guarding. But Jazz, he's kind of the stoic mentor of Malia, who, oddly enough, kind of treats him like a father figure. And you continue making your way. Pit Gazer kind of scoffs. He's like, yeah, I got one of those too. Which kind of, in a way, it makes you feel a little bit less special. Jazz mentions, oh, isn't your rock day the same day as the centennial then?
Well, it wouldn't really hurt to leave home.
Well then, I suppose we can make it a celebration of your creation.
Yes.
All right, so you make your way to the exit, following Pit Gazer, who he steps into the steam tube, following the exit to this area called the halls. It's a big cylindrical chasm or cavern, basically, and there's a waist-deep flow of water, rather. And he has a little kind of like a skiff or a pontoon boat. We'll say it's more of a skiff. It's big enough, it's sturdy enough to support all of your weight. So, he grabs onto a rope and pulls it closer to the shore and motions you all to get on.
I'm gonna hop on it like a little kid.
Okay, you jump on and it rocks back and forth, but you almost smile at the splashing of the water. Pit Gazer groans at the splashing, but your antics kind of cheer everybody up, or cheer Molly up specifically, since the note kind of seemed to affect her in some way. But she also didn't protest about going back to Windswept with you all, so you can assume that it's going to be a group event. As everybody boards the boat, Pit Gazer shoves off with one of his feet and regains balance aboard the small water vessel. He pulls out a long pole and starts maneuvering the boat like one would maneuver a boat down an aqueduct. And he's pushing off. He grumbles predictably, but the cavern you find yourself in, no matter how many times you see it, you're always taken aback by the bioluminescent lichens growing on the wall, or specifically on the highest point of the wall, because, as you know, sometimes this chamber is full of lava, and that makes it hard even for the heat-resistant lichens to grow. But they are reflecting off of the trickle of water that you're rowing or maneuvering down, with vibrant yellows, oranges, a few greens, but predominantly violet. A common color scheme of the caverns around the Mantle. But Pit Gazer continues to grumble, and he finally speaks up. All right then. Well, as it so happens, I'll be piloting the ferry for the Nature and Goodness Society up on the Horns. So Pit Gazer to be not only a ferry captain of the steam tubes, but he actually also captains an airship. Right then, if you all will be joining, we'll be setting off for Windswept tomorrow morning. From context, you gather that Centennial is officially in the sunrise following tomorrow. Tomorrow's the day before the Centennial, basically, which is really the bigger celebration. It's like New Year's Eve, basically.
Oh, okay.
But with that, you slowly make your way down the steam tubes. It takes several hours, but you find yourself arriving at the entrance of the Mantle Ward. And with that, we are going to wrap up. That is where you're leaving off. So how do you like things so far?
I'm really excited because this sounds like the Watchers really sounds like a cool guild or something.
Yeah, I could say we could call it a guild pretty much. It's like basically what it is.
I guess from Dragon Age, like the clerics or something.
Yeah, it's pretty much like a divine caste kind of. I mentioned you all have kind of feel a calling coming from somewhere, and everybody assumes the Mantle Core is of divine origin. But nobody really knows. They just have that feeling, It seems something majestic. But anyway, I will bid you adieu, say goodbye, and we'll get caught up with when session 1 starts and we get to play with a full party. All right. Goodbye then.